Chapter 22. Stella. Anita was going hysterical. Stella did not enjoy this type of behavior, not unless she herself was the one being hysterical. As the bus pulled up to school, Stella could see the worry written all over Anita's face. The wrinkles that girl was going to have if she didn't stop frowning the way she did. Yes, Anita had cause to worry. Where was that necklace? Why hadn't anyone found it yet? But she had to remain calm and stop throwing out wild accusations that did no one any good. We need to stick together, and we will get to the bottom of this, Stella told her yet again as they disembarked. I'm sure my father is doing everything he can to find the necklace. Even as she said the words aloud, Stella wondered, was Dad looking? She couldn't say this to Anita, of course, but she did wonder why her father didn't seem more alarmed about the Weatherby going missing at his show. Yes, he was upset that the disappearance had made it into the papers, and he kept saying what a travesty it was that Anita's family had lost such a priceless bauble. But now that he was through being questioned by Scotland Yard, and Bennett said he was in the clear, whatever that meant, her father seemed somewhat jovial. Instead of hiring a private detective, which he couldn't afford, or shouting at Scotland Yard to work harder at finding the necklace, he'd actually spent all weekend with the dogs. He was even using the very same type of training whistle Anita had heard at the show. Which was strange, wasn't it? Maybe she was just panicking because Anita was panicking, but why had her father acted so confused about a training whistle when he had one himself? She supposed dogs were trained with whistles all the time. Her father was teaching those beasts simple tasks their pea-sized brains could understand. Sit, stay, fetch, not steal a several million-pound necklace, as if a dog could steal a necklace. But shouldn't Dad be more upset that his show was associated with a thief? No, darling, he said when he'd briefly come to her suite to see her on Sunday. Briefly was the operative word. Whereas they normally spend all Sunday together reading papers and getting room service, she'd been replaced by the dogs he was busy training, leaving her with the only modicum of his time. All publicity is good publicity, he said when asked. Now everyone knows House of DeVille. Anita's dress is already being ordered. Can you believe it? That oldie is a hit. We'll need to make more to dig up with demand. Her picture wearing the dress is going to be in every paper by the end of the week. How do you know that? Stella had asked, raising one eyebrow. I thought we were keeping the story out of the press. Dad had rolled his eyes. Oh, you know those vultures at Reynolds News, darling. They find out everything. They've been camped out at the Seville since Friday night. His eyes brightened. So I beat them to the punch and gave them a picture, and Bennett gave a quote. It's going to be a front-page story. He'd smile at the thought. Had her father become deranged? She wouldn't know. Now that Norma and Belinda were here, it was as if he'd forgotten that she was family too. He'd been away from the suite practically all day the past few days. She'd stay home from school out of spite at first, but when he didn't even notice, she had no choice but to return to school on Wednesday. Even sitting in English beat sitting in an empty suite all day, wondering what Dad was doing or who he was with. Like Percival Fonswater. Because the truth was Stella did know his name. He'd been in their suite on Sunday, in fact, in a closed-door meeting with Bennett and Dad. She was certain. How many people had the name Percival or Fonswater? Stella side-eyed Anita now. Should she tell her this information? No. It would only cast suspicion on her father, and that was not something she wanted to do. Her father met with jewelry collectors all the time. Yes, that had to be it. He was probably meeting about some sort of collaboration. So why the closed-door meeting? And why wouldn't he include her in the details? She was involved in every House of DeVille decision, or at least she had been before Norman and Belinda. Wretched mongrels. Why had her father dismissed her when she'd accidentally stumbled on Bennett, Percival, and her father? We'll be done soon, Dad had said, closing the doors on her. She'd looked into the room and seen Norman and Belinda lying on the floor. Oh, I see, she thought. The dogs get to be privy to the meeting. I'm the one being banished. At least that was how she saw it. I can't help thinking this is all my fault, Anita said now, bringing Stella back from her thoughts. No matter what anyone says, and if it's my fault, I should be doing something to find the necklace. The necklace, it seemed, and not the fashion show, was all anyone wanted to talk about. Even Miss Norbert. How are you girls doing? Miss Norbert asked, calling them up to her desk. I'm fine, Anita lied. Just worried. I'm not worried, Stella said decisively, even though she was starting to worry. The necklace is going to turn up, I'm sure of it. Miss Norbert nodded, but she still looked as panicked as Anita. That's a wonderful outlook, Stella. I hope that's true. Scotland Yard called me and a few other volunteers in for questioning again yesterday. They did? Anita asked, sounding surprised. They wanted to know how the dogs were trained before their walks down the runway. Stella felt a flash of rage and shot a look at Anita. Had Anita lied and actually said something to the authorities? Why would they ask such a thing? I guess one of the witnesses said they heard a strange whistle before Anita was knocked over, Miss Norbert explained, and we had to show them how the dog whistles work and whether any of the pets are trained. The woman looked on the verge of tears. We have been trying to teach them how to sit, but steal a necklace? Never! We're trying to get pets adopted. We know, Miss Norbert, Anita told her. Miss Norbert dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. I didn't hear any whistle that night, but it is very loud in the room. Anita, did you hear anything? Both Stella and Miss Norbert stared at Anita. Stella trying to send Anita a signal. Do not say yes. The girl was white as a sheet. I don't recall, Anita said meekly. Stella exhaled. Miss Norbert pursed her lips. Well, if you didn't hear it, then I'm sure whoever gave that tip was wrong. So much happened so quickly. I'm sure they were confused. I'm just sad that such a wonderful night was ruined with such a terrible incident. But some good was done. 30 pets were still spoken for at the event, and we had lots of interest from other parties before. Well, you both know. She frowned again. Everyone was so miserable. It was a downer. Stella tried to change the subject. My father told me Hampton House also raised several £100 for the shelter. Yes, we did, and we're so grateful, Miss Norbert added, still looking pensive. My father said he's matching whatever donation you end up with, Stella announced. That's such wonderful news, Anita gushed. Oh, Stella, that's wonderful, Miss Norbert echoed. Stella just smiled. This wasn't true. Her father hadn't said that, and he certainly didn't have the money. But she had to change the mood here. Miss Norbert burst into tears. I'm so grateful for all your help, Stella, truly. If it weren't for you, no one would even know the Hampton House name. She hesitated, but what? Stella snapped, and Anita gave her a look like, be nice. She was trying, but it was hard. She wanted Miss Norbert just to say whatever was on her mind. Today's paper put the blame squarely on the dogs that rushed the runway, which I know was terrible. Terrible. And then the necklace disappeared. But the way they talk about the shelter animals, pests, untrained monsters, not meant for adoption, I'm concerned that if the Weatherby isn't found soon, all the goodwill we built for the shelter will be gone. No one will want to adopt the rest of our animals. No, Anita exclaimed. We won't let that happen, will we, Stella? No, we won't, Stella echoed. But what were they supposed to do about the press narrative? Truthfully, she agreed. Why would anyone want to adopt a dog? Miss Norbert played with the necklace around her neck. Thank you, girls. I hope the public can see the truth. Even if the fall was an accident, the diamond went missing after the dogs knocked Anita over. It doesn't make adopting a shelter pet look good. Poor Miss Norbert, Anita said when they finally left for lunch. Poor us, Stella corrected her. We're in the thick of this too, you know. The dogs will be fine. They always are, she said miserably. I'm not so sure, Anita said quietly. I just wish this whole ordeal could be over. If there was one thing Stella agreed with, it was that. Despite her best efforts, an image of her father closing the door on her cutting her out of his world while letting the dogs in flashed in her mind. What is he hiding? She wondered, and why is he shutting me out? Those were the questions Stella both desperately wanted answers to and didn't, because the truth, she feared, might be worse than whatever fiction she came up with in her mind.